Now let us demonstrate the corpus callosum. This is the corpus callosum. It is a mass of commissural fibers extending between the medial surfaces of the two hemispheres, lying nearer the anterior than the posterior ends of the hemispheres. It forms the floor of the longitudinal fissure. In cut section, it consists of a main horizontal part called the trunk, which ends in a free posterior end called the splenium, and ends anteriorly by making a bend called the genu. From the genu, the corpus callosum extends backwards to form the rostrum, which ends at the upper end of the lamina terminalis. The splenium is thick and rounded, and its fibers extend between the occipital and the temporal lobes of both sides. Its fibers, which run backwards in the medial wall of the hemisphere towards the occipital pole, form the forceps major, thus called because the fibers of both sides look like the forceps. Some other fibers of the splenium pass the roof, the posterior horn of the lateral ventricle, and then curve downwards lateral to the posterior and the inferior horns of the lateral ventricle. These fibers form what is called the tapetum. The fibers of the trunk of corpus callosum pass horizontally to connect the parietal lobe and the posterior parts of the frontal lobes of both sides. The genu connects the anterior parts of the frontal lobes of both sides together. The fibers of the genu, curving forwards towards the frontal pole, form what is called forceps minor, because they are shorter than the forceps major formed by the splenium. Other commissural fibers are the anterior commissure and posterior commissure. This is the anterior commissure. It crosses the midline just in front of the column of the fornix. It connects the temporal lobes of both sides together. Here lies the posterior commissure. It crosses the midline posteriorly, immediately below the root of the pineal body.